Hi Blockheads, happy Wednesday. Today we have the adorable Tipsy Star Block designed by Kimberly Kight of Ruby Star Society. I was so excited about this test block. I made it into a little mini with the strawberries. I still need to make this block with my Blockheads fabric, so let's get sewing. So if you haven't already, pop down to the description and you'll find a link for this pattern here, the Tipsy Star. I've already went ahead and cut out the paper templates. All you need to do is cut upon this dashed line right here. The B, C, and D units are just one page. The A unit needs to be taped together. So I wanted to show you guys that. I cut along that dashed line. I just want to make sure my edge of block lines are lined up there, and then I'm going to grab some tape and tape them together. And now we are ready to sew. I'm going to grab my light board so we can see all the FPP lines a little bit better, and I'll be right back. So we are back. I have the light board plugged in. I think this is the best way to probably demo FPP. If you have one of these around your house, plug it in and use it for sure. These bigger pieces though, it's really, really nice to have this light board. One thing that's very useful is this little guide right here in the pattern. So I know I'm going to need the A1, the A2, and the A3 piece. I've lined those up right here. So A1 is my first background piece, A2 is my first star point, and A3 is my last background piece for this section. For this tutorial, we're just going to do the A section. We've done a lot of FPP blocks, and you can refer back to older tutorials. Sherry McConnell has an amazing FPP tutorial, and that's where I learned almost everything I know about FPP. I highly recommend you go over to A Quilting Life's YouTube and check out that one if you're really struggling. But we'll do this A block together. The first thing about foundation paper piecing is that you've got to remember you need to see the top side, and this is the side that will be visible in the block. So we're going to align our first A1 piece. It's this big section right here, and that needs the 6 1/4 by 9 inch rectangle. So since this is the side we're going to see, our first piece of fabric always needs to be facing outward. And we want to make sure that with this first piece of fabric, the entire A1 section is covered. It's probably the easiest piece to place. So I'm going to flip it over. And this is our A2 line. You can see it right here, and you can see how amazing this light board is. So now I'm going to take my next piece, and we're going to go right sides together because we're going to flip this piece like this, right? So I am going to align this piece about 1/4 inch over that A2 line. It's perfectly lined up. The A2 line is right there. It might be hard to see now, but it's right there. I'm going to pop a pin in this, and we're going to run over to the sewing machine and stick a seam right here. I'll rejoin you in just a second. We're back at the sewing machine. The first thing I'm going to do on my sewing machine is decrease my stitch length to 1.5 millimeters. And now we're going to sew this line between sections A1 and A2. So the first thing we need to do, and also I already have my needle positioned. I like to start in the middle of the block and go out. If there's a piece like this that's kind of goes to the middle and doesn't go edge to edge on the paper, I am going to first go a few forward and then back stitch just a few stitches to really secure that stitch into place. We're going to go nice and slow, just staying on the line. I'm using a clear view quilting foot right here. It's got a perfect little spot in the middle, so I can just keep the line feeding through there, and I have perfect seam placement. And here we go, we're at the end. I'm going to back stitch, cut, and here we go. There's that first line sewn. You can see my seam line right here. So let's go over to the cutting mat. I'm going to show you how to trim this, and we'll get ready to do this A3 line right here. We're back here at the cutting mat. We just sewed this line between A1 and A2. What we're going to do is fold the paper over along the seam line we just made. And I'm going to use the add a quarter ruler today. It's really, really awesome for FPP because there's a little lip in here that goes right up against the paper and gives you a perfect 1/4 inch cut. So there's our extra. You can see that it goes fully over the A2 section, which is what we want. So I'm going to go press this and come back, and we'll position the A3 piece and finish up this A section. Be right back. We are back here at the magical lighted mat, and we're going to place this A3 piece right here. So again, this is the side we're going to look at. This is the side that is visible in the block, and right here we have our A3 line. Right here you can see. So we want to place our third piece of fabric, right sides together, about 1/4 inch over the A3 line. So I am feeling pretty good on this piece. Because of the angle it's going, you want to slide it a bit more to the left so it can span the diagonal it has to do and you're not cutting off on that side. So I am going to meet you back at the sewing machine. We'll sew along this A3 line and we will be done with the A unit after a little trimming and pressing. So we are back at the sewing machine. This is the side we can see. We are going to sew along this line between A1, A2, and A3. This line right here. I lined everything up over at the lighted mat, so we are ready to go. This one is going to go from edge to edge. So I'm going to place my needle first, get everything aligned nice and straight. I'm going to do a few stitches forward, and then I'm going to back stitch to the edge of the paper. And then I'm going to come back, and we're just going to sew slowly or as quickly as you want along this straight line right here. I like to sew nice and slow for camera so that if we have any beginners with us, they don't feel super intimidated by fast sewing speeds. Okay, I'm almost here to the end, so I'm going to let it go just to the edge of the paper and then back stitch a few stitches. And here we go. Let's check and make sure with this diagonal that we got the coverage we needed. So hopefully when we flip this over, we see we're covering the entire paper, and we are, yay. So that's why I like these nice liberal cuts, and I kind of recommended maybe even adding a little extra, especially if you're new to FPP, because it can save your life. It's frustrating to have to rip these short stitches and these back stitches. So I will meet you back at the cutting mat. I'm going to show you how to trim this, and we'll do one more press, and then we're done with the A unit. All right, we are back at the cutting mat, and we're going to do the same exercise we did the last time, being very careful that that's not folded over in any way. We're going to trim the excess right there. So we're flipping over, and we will fold along the seam line that we just made. Add 1/4 to the rescue. I'm going to get that lip kind of butted up against the paper there. And here we go. Nice little trim. All right, I am going to run over to the pressing mat. I will press this, and we'll be right back to do the final trim on this unit. Alrighty, so everything is nice and pressed and it looks crispy and good. We're gonna just turn this over now and trim along these edges here. Let me find the right ruler. It's buried under all my papers and fabrics. I'm sure you all go through the same thing at home. All right, so as a safety check, I like to just line up my 1/4 inch line with the solid line. And here we go. Easy peasy. It's my favorite part. I'm going to show you something that I like to do with these big floppy pieces too, because when you go to sew them together, when they're flopping around, it's really not that fun. All right, just being careful not to over trim. I line up my 1/4 inch. Right there. All right, last little trim here. Oh no, we have a straggler. Okay, I'm just gonna snip. All right, got him. All right, this last little edge here, line up on the 1/4 inch and trim. All right, so I am gonna go work on the B, C, and D units. I will join you back here and we'll talk about how we're going to combine all these. I'll also show you my little hack for keeping these large pieces kind of down while you're sewing everything together. So we'll be right back. So we are back. I have constructed the A, B, C, and D unit. A kind of scoots over here to the side. We're going to join all these and then attach them to the A unit. I want to show y'all just a little trick because these pieces are kind of floppy, and when you're working with them, you can see how annoying that will get. So I've already done it to all the other little units, but which I'm obsessed with this product, by the way. This glue-based little squeeze bottle by Roxanne, I love. This is like, I've had things that attach to my Elmer's glue bottle that are this, but they always get clogged up. This little squeeze, it's also nice. Trust me on this, if you see it at a quilt shop, treat yourself. And I just do the tiniest Like, because remember, you're gonna rip these papers, so you don't wanna be doing a big glue situation here, but a tiny little dot of glue on those corners just to keep everything in place while I'm moving around, so you can see they're affixed here. And that way I don't get any slippage with these bigger pieces. It can become a real issue. So we'll let that dry over there. You can also iron it to cure it faster. Here we are. Okay, this piece at home, when I was making my practice block, gave me a lot of issues. I ripped it 4 times. I never do that. And then I went and talked to the master quilters around here in the office, and they gave me the best tips. So this point right here and this point right here are what we want to align, right? And it's so simple, but I'm gonna put a pin in the point on the B piece, and I am going to stick that through, and then I'm gonna find the same, might be a little trial and error here, point that I want to connect to on the C piece. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to do it so you can see. And now we have the alignment that we need for this block. And now we're just gonna line up along the edge here, and we should be totally good to go. Oh, and let me secure this all the way. What we're gonna do here is, and if you have a 1/4 inch foot on your machine, switch over to that mode. This is just like normal piecing from here on out. We're just doing straight lines, and we're gonna go along this line right here. If you just use it, like I said, if you're using a 1/4 inch foot, just line it up the way you normally would with regular piecing. I'm gonna join all this together, and we'll come back and take a look at the finished block, see what we got. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh, it's together. I just had a moment over there where I was like, this is so stinking cute. I love this version very much. I also love my speckled version. This is gonna fit so nicely in with its friends back here. Don't forget to rip your papers. You'll have a perfect little or big Tipsy star block. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're posting new content weekly. A lot of exciting things coming, so be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, comment below. We're here and we're moderating the comments. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Happy sewing!